Hey everybody, I'm Brendan Vermeyer, the owner and founder of Metabolic Solutions Institute, and I couldn't be more excited to announce that we have open enrollment for our functional mentorship program. So I'd love to tell you a little bit more about what this program entails. This program is for any and all functional health professionals that are in the trenches doing the work with clients and patients and really seeking to advance their education in order to better serve their clients and patients more effectively using an evidence-based model. Sometimes I feel that the functional medicine holistic health space is extremely convoluted, extremely saturated, very contradictory. There's a lot of sensationalism, a lot of conflicting theories and evidence. So it becomes very, very difficult to really be able to tune out the noise and be able to focus on what is actually moving the needle in your client or patient's actual health. But also further, how do we really validate that? How do we know if we're moving in the right direction? How do we objectively know that we are actually moving the needle on a physiological cellular level? I really think it's imperative that health professionals are always staying up to date on what research is coming out, but also what has been validated through anecdotal experience in the functional or clinical or health coaching world. So certainly I think there's a little bit of a gap in between emerging scientific evidence versus what actually works when you're working with another human. So I really find a lot of functional practitioners are kind of spinning their wheels and getting caught up in the sensationalism of, oh, this is the test we have to be using, or this is the thing that we have to be assessing for and attacking with our clients and patients. And at the end of the day, I feel almost as if we're getting too niched and too down the rabbit hole of theoretical science. We need to pull that back and keep it more client and patient centered with understanding what does this individual need to see, what do they need to feel, what do they need to hear to feel educated and empowered to actually take ownership of their health in order to achieve the level of health and prosperity and longevity that they deserve and they desire. And so I think we, as the functional health professionals, I think we can do better. The biggest benefit that I've seen so far with the mentees that I have had the absolute pleasure of working with and mentoring is I really see a lot of light bulbs starting to go off as the material is starting to click and actually go together, correlate together. A big part of our issue or confusion in this industry is there's new functional lab tests and new tools hitting the market every single day, and it's getting really overwhelming knowing what test has actual established clinical significance or what technology has really been demonstrated to have an impressive or effective efficacy. So I think we as functional health professionals, we have to learn how to be better, more responsible consumers of the industry. So that way we're not wasting any of our client or patients' money and actually able to deliver the results that we promise so much in the marketing to onboard them in the first place. But I love seeing the light bulbs go off in my mentees where they start realizing that all of this can be one congruent process, whether it's optimizing the client or patient intake process or the onboarding experience to ensure a continuous and effective client or patient life cycle, and knowing how to effectively facilitate a bio-individualized program rather than getting too caught up chasing individual rabbit holes with this test or that supplement protocol. Because remember, without effective behavior modification, it doesn't matter how many labs you run or how many supplements you recommend or how fancy or sophisticated your protocol is. So if anything, I feel like we overcomplicate it in this space and we're not keeping it client or patient centered because we're more interested in pursuing our scientific fascinations rather than actually focusing on the human that's relying on us and sitting across the table. So I've seen so many of my students actually be able to get better results with their clients or patients using less costly testing and having more reliable biomarkers that actually show that linear progress that we all want to see. But so many of these functional tests, they don't show that linear progress. It's this very imperfect snapshot of a moment in time. So I think if we can back up a little bit and look at what biomarkers are actually going to effectively track progress over time, correlated with their symptomology and their health complaints and their overall presentation, along with what really matters most, which is their perceived quality of health and life. If you'd like to learn more, you can scroll down to visit all the details about the program, what it entails, when it begins, as well as looking at our payment plan options to find an option that works best for you. It is a big commitment, but we'd love to have you in this program so we can all work together and participate in the collective healing of humanity. To be fully honest and transparent, because honestly, I really prefer to be a pretty candid dude. I hate sensationalism, and I think there's way too much of that in our industry. So there's all these people claiming that their program or their test or their supplement is the best thing ever, and it's gonna, exponentially increase their client or patient outcomes. But at the end of the day, I feel like this industry, this market, just continues to get more and more niched, and I don't think that's really what we need. I think we need to back up and focus more on helping this human at the heart and soul level. And so I really find that a lot of our students, they're getting gaps filled in their education because there's so many programs out there, there's so many subjects you could study, but it becomes very niched when in reality we need to fill the gaps that are separating all of these pockets of study, so it is one more congruent constructive model. So some of the benefits we see from our graduates are, not only are they not having to spend quite as much money, their client and patients money, on lab testing or supplements or gadgets or gizmos, but so they're reducing the cost of service for their clients or patients while increasing their profitability. Would you rather have your client or patient spending all of their money on data that might not even be that reliable, or would you rather have them spending it on your valuable services that are going to help them bust through their health plateaus and take their health and performance to that next level? So they streamline their business model and make it easier to accumulate and acquire their ideal and dream clients. They have a more structured and successful model for the actual coaching process, which I think is very absent in our space. Even though there's more coaching programs than ever, I find that most practitioners are really struggling to actually implement effective client or patient-centered coaching that actually does create lasting behavior modification. Remember, we can't do anything ourselves to really modulate their physiology or biochemistry, but we can educate and empower them, hold them accountable so they change the behaviors that lead to the actual outcome of better physiological health. So my primary objective with this program was not to recreate the wheel. It's not to make a similar program to anything else that exists, but rather fill the gaps of all these amazing programs that already exist. There's already so many coaches and clinicians that have been through amazing functional medicine education or holistic health coaching education, but there's still these very common, very consistent gaps that all of these health professionals and practitioners seem to be struggling with, whether it's the business development or the client life cycle, or what tests to run, how to correlate all these different tests from a lot of different labs that don't at all have compatible technology, and then knowing how to actually develop bio-individualized programs that work, and most importantly, how to effectively coach the client or patient. And even though there's more health coaches than ever, I'm not seeing enough effective client or patient-centered health coaching. So my primary goal with this program was to really bridge the gap between next generation functional health coaches and clinicians through better functional health education that's more congruent, more complete, for a more cohesive model to optimal health and wellness. Click the link below to check out all the details and learn more. And you can also schedule a 15-minute complimentary consultation to discuss the details and decide if this is the right fit for you. I look forward to speaking with you soon.